Hi, welcome back to the Well-Doing Mama. My name is Stephanie, and this is our Homeschool 101 series. Today, I'm going to talk to you specifically about where do I start. So my first video is why. Why do we homeschool? So I explained in that video why we've chosen this path. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the how, the first how. Okay, I've decided I'm homeschooling. What do I do? So I'm going to look at this from two different angles. The first angle is your child hasn't started school yet. So let's say your oldest child hasn't started school and you're thinking you're going to homeschool. So maybe they're 3, 4, 5 years old. Where are you going to start? So first you need to find out what your state laws are. Every state has different laws and different rules. We live in Nebraska. We have a very simple form that you fill out when they're a certain age, and then each year you fill out this form online. It's super simple and there's nothing beyond that. Other states are going to require you to use a charter school, or they're going to require you to do testing. There's a lot of different requirements. So first thing you're going to do is Google your state Department of Education, homeschool. You can also look on HSLDA. HSLDA. It's Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Highly recommend joining them. And they list by state what to do. I also recommend you find some other moms in your area who are experienced. And I say that very clearly. Experienced moms, and ask them what you do. And they'll usually direct you to the state website. I always direct people, here's the state website. So you want to do the research on your own by Googling it and looking at HSLDA, and you want to get the in-person experience. Sometimes the requirements can seem a little daunting if you aren't used to them. And experienced moms can kind of calm fears of it's not that hard, or here's how we do it, to help with that record keeping aspect. So that's the first step. Find out what you legally need to do. If your child's already in school, the legal requirements are probably the same, but they may require you to notify your school. So you need to, again, check on the legal requirements. We, for instance, in Nebraska, if you pulled your child from school, do not have to notify the school. However, many parents do out of a courtesy, so that the school is not having to wait. The letter from the state can be a little delayed. So some parents notify just out of courtesy and let the school know that they have pulled to homeschool. So that's your first step. Find out what your state requires. And if your child's young, 3, 4, 5 years old, there's probably nothing that they require at those young ages. Then the second thing you need to do is figure out a routine for your day. Now, you may have a routine already, and that is excellent. If you don't have a routine, getting your child used to a routine where they do what you tell them to at the times that you tell them to will make the school aspect a lot easier. So when my kids were little, we had a routine for our day. We got up, we had breakfast. I don't remember the exact routines when they were real little, but we would have a book reading time. We would have a little preschool time. We would maybe have a Play-Doh time or an arts and crafts time. Have a game time. We'd do some flashcards. We'd go outside, have outside time. They were used to me directing large portions of their day, so that when we started homeschooling, that became much easier. I am not saying you have to be one-on-one with your kid all day, but I am saying if you start directing their days, okay, you're going to go play in your room for half an hour now. Okay, now we're going to play in the living room. Which one of these living room toys would you like to choose? Okay, now mom's going to go make dinner, lunch, whatever. So I'm going to need you to sit at the counter, and here are the things you're going to play with now. They start getting in the habit of doing things when you tell them and where you tell them. One of the biggest sticking points I see for homeschool families is my kid doesn't want to do it. This takes that battle away because you're just slowly training them when they're little. Okay, we're going to go do this now. Okay, it's time to go outside now. Those things where they're getting used to you directing their days. Think about kids in a preschool. They don't all pick what they're going to do all day long. They get directed, and then there are free choice times. So I'm not saying you have to direct every moment, but create a routine where you're putting in some educational things. And at the young age, reading books, doing a craft. I liked flashcards because that's who I am, but and we love games. So doing those things is really great. So first thing you're gonna do is find out your state requirements so you make sure you're legal. Second thing you're gonna do is create a routine. Third thing you need to do, and a lot of people do this first, but I recommend waiting a little bit, is finding a curriculum. Now, the word curriculum technically just means an instruction plan, but in the homeschool community, it's tend to be used as meaning books. What books am I going to use to teach my child? Now, there are so many. I have playlists of materials that I've used. I have used a variety of different things, but you need to find some curriculum. Now, can you do it all without a curriculum? Absolutely, 100%. It's just going to require a lot more work from you to do it really, really well. And a lot of people have already done it really well and put it together for you. So time-wise and consistency-wise, I think it's a good idea to choose a curriculum, at least for some things. So for kindergarten, so for preschool, I do have a video of what I use for preschool with some different ideas of preschool materials. And I do start about 3 to 4 years old. I start having them sit and do some workbooks. We're a workbook, textbook type family. There's nothing wrong with that. And we don't do them all day, like a little half an hour here, half an hour there. And it's a lot of it's one-on-one time with mom, so the kids love it, right? So I have a video where you can look up what I use for preschool. I don't have any preschoolers anymore. It's kind of sad. And then once you hit kindergarten, there's some really great options. We are currently using The Good and the Beautiful for kindergarten language arts and math. I've also used Rod and Staff. They have first grade. And I just started with that. And I think I split it into like 1.5 to 2 years to do their first grade. The reason I switched, there was a couple of reasons. It was the child I had. They needed something different. Also, Rod and Staff had updated, which they only did like every 15, 20 years. But that was the time they updated. So I was going to have to buy everything new anyway. So it was time to kind of reevaluate. I have also used Christian Light Education. And I've also used Christian Light Education. Again, they don't have a really kindergarten program. They have first grade that starts teaching phonics, and I really, really do like it. It's very thorough. Definitely meant for a classroom, but easily adjustable. I chose to move away from it because it was very time consuming. And my kids were spending so much time on those subjects. And I just decided it was more time than I could spend on those subjects. But it is very thorough. So weigh it with your life. I did like it, and I thought it did a really good job teaching the basics. And I split their first grade into 2 years. So that's how I did that. So those are some really good options. If you were really not sure and have no idea how to teach phonics, Christian Light Education is an excellent first step choice. Gives lots of good instruction. And The Good and the Beautiful does also, but I feel like if you don't have any phonics instruction knowledge, that's a little tricky to start with. But you totally can do it. Ordinary Parents Guide to Teaching Reading is also another excellent teaching somebody to read program. So you need to get some curriculum. So if they're in kindergarten, you're going to be looking at some kindergarten curriculum. If they are older, you're going to need to make sure you take placement tests to see where they fit. Every curriculum, every school, everything has different standards of what kindergarten or second grade or fifth grade is. So for language arts and math, you need to make sure you take placement tests for whatever curriculum you choose to use. And most curriculums, I think, have a placement test of some sort. So that's where you need to go. How do you pick a curriculum? It's a little tricky. The things I suggest, you can go to christianbook.com, and they have by grade level, they have by subject that you can kind of search around and look. They also send out really nice catalogs, so you could request a catalog if you'd like a print and paper to look through. You can go to a homeschool curriculum fair or conference. Those are around the nation. Some states have small ones, some have bigger ones. And they often have vendors there that have curriculum, so you can search through curriculum and look at it. You can also, Kathy Duffy has a 101 top homeschool picks. I'm not even saying you have to use your top 100, but there's tons and tons of reviews on there. So what I suggest is that you take a sheet of paper, and I meant to grab one. Let me grab a sheet of paper and show you. This was a lab for my co-op kids. Okay, take a sheet of paper, write your subjects going this way. So math, English, history, science, Bible, if you want another elective or two. Then write your kid's name across here. If you only have one kid, you could do this a little differently. But you're basically going to create a grid here of subjects and kids to start filling it. Now, while you're researching curriculum, you might just want to take it, write the child's name, and then write a subject and list out 3 or 4 curriculums that you like. Then do that for English, math, science, and history. Stick with the basics. Okay, so you're going to have to pick curriculum. In the end, you have to pick. You can very easily get lost down this rabbit trail and never actually pick something. That's not useful for you or your child. So, in the end, pick something, go with it. So, if you are really like, I don't know what to do, a couple of options. One, like I said, I really like The Good and the Beautiful for math and language arts, and I like master books for science and social studies. You could just pick master books for all of it and just go on there, buy a kit. You're getting a solid Christian curriculum, and it will get you started in the right direction. So that's an option. I don't love the way science and history is done with The Good and the Beautiful, so I don't really recommend. I mean, you can do it. It's not bad. I just don't love it. So if you're going to just pick one company and go with it, I would probably go master books and just go. It's going to benefit your child to just pick something and go. But if you want to research a little, write them out, and then I look up YouTube videos, I read Kathy Duffrey reviews, and I look at them online. And then you pick and choose what you want for each subject. Okay? I would give yourself a deadline to pick curriculum. And then I would, unless something is really, really off, pretty much stick to it for the year. And the reason I say that is hopping from thing to thing to thing to thing is not beneficial to your child. It creates learning gaps. There are always going to be learning gaps, but we want to minimize them. So I really recommend picking something and sticking with it. So we're going to get on a routine. We're going to pick curriculum. Then we're going to just start. If you are starting for the first year, you might be like, okay, we're going to start on August 17th. I don't know. You pick a day and you just start. And you just figure out your schedule. I have a video on scheduling, and I'll probably make a new updated video a little bit on scheduling, but it doesn't have to be huge. If you already have a routine, you're basically just switching out your routine a little bit. If they're young, some people like to get their kids outside and play and run and do that kind of stuff and then come in and do school. I found my kids tended to get distracted that way when I just had little ones. So we tended to sit down, get some school done, and then go outside either right before lunch or after lunch. So that's the next thing. You need to just start. If you're pulling your kids from school, some people like to unschool or give them some decompression time. You're going to have to decide for your family how that's going to work and whether that's necessary. And there's just going to be a lot of you deciding those things. Then you need to create community. I believe strongly in community. I believe it's very, very important, both for mom and for children, that you need other people around you who are going to lift you up in homeschooling, who are going to lift your kids up. You're going to create lifelong friendships and relationships for your kids. There's a lot of ways to create community. I live in a fairly small town. I live in a town of about 30,000. So there's a fair number of homeschoolers, but here's the thing. You're not going to like every homeschooler in your town. Sorry, truth be told. And so you are going to want to find your people. If you've ever read the book, Find Your People by Jenny Allen. You do want to find your people, and it makes a huge, huge difference when you do, both for you and for your kids. And so how do you do this? So what I would suggest, get on any local Facebook groups. See if there's any park days. Introduce yourself. Say, hey, I am a new homeschooling mom. Here's my kids' ages. If there are no homeschooling days or homeschooling park days or some kind of organized activity, do one. Say, hey, we're going to go to the park tomorrow at 3 p.m. We'd love for anybody to join us. And do it for several weeks in a row. You will eventually start having people that you want to be around. Also, find out who in your church homeschools. Ask around if you aren't sure. If you go to a big church especially and you aren't sure, ask. Ask a pastor. Ask some Sunday school teachers. Start asking the people who might be in the know. Hey, who here homeschools? Hey, who can I talk to? Hey, who homeschools? Find out. If you're new to a town, go to the library, or you just don't know anybody else at homeschools, go ask the library. Say, hey, I am new in town, or hey, I am a new homeschooler, and I'm wanting to connect with some other homeschoolers. Do you know who else homeschools? In our town, our librarian, I am 100% sure, would be like, yeah, I know the homeschoolers in town. And they're on our Facebook page to share events. They have a couple of things that they do just for homeschoolers. So she might say, hey, if you show up at this time, you can meet some. I wouldn't be surprised if she took their phone number and passed it on to me or another homeschool mom that she knows. So those are some options for starting to build community. It can take a while to build. You may also want to look at what co-ops or classes are in your area. We have some paid classes in the town near us. We did not have any kind of co-op. When I first started homeschooling, there was a very small co-op, or I don't even know if it was small. There was a co-op in town, but I didn't really know anybody doing it. And it kind of collapsed after another year or two after we started homeschooling. I started doing, you can look at my how do we co-op video. But I started homeschool days where we met for like once a month and we did homeschool activities. It's mostly people from my church, but other people in our community. We did homeschool wiffle ball where we would just all meet at the park in the evening and play wiffle ball. I did tons of park days over the years, which just kind of dwindled off, which is so weird to me. But some other moms have kind of picked it up and run with it. And then eventually I started a homeschool co-op. So, with some friends, not just me. Some friends and I started a homeschool co-op. So, a lot of co-ops, I don't know if this is in every area, tend to be word of mouth co-ops. Because you're trying to find people that are going to fit in and be the right fit. And there's a limited space and size and those things. So, because that's kind of how ours is. So, you kind of need to start getting to know homeschoolers, and then you'll find your people and start getting in with them. So, you want to start homeschooling. Find out your state laws. Get in a routine. Pick a curriculum. Start homeschooling. Just start doing it. And start building some community. You will have a wonderful time. I also recommend, as you're building community, start looking for some moms who are a few stages ahead of you, a few years ahead of you. So you can ask them questions, get advice, have some mentorship that way. Don't overuse it, but do ask questions and try to gain knowledge and wisdom from other people that are enough ahead that you can see that they have been successful in their homeschooling. I do recommend you limit the noise of social media. Social media has a lot of homeschool noise. You don't know those moms. And so be cautious here I am saying this, right, on social media. Be cautious taking too much advice from moms on social media. You don't know how their children have turned out. You don't even know if they have kids, if they've even homeschooled for more than a year or two. So when they say, you need to do this and you need to do that, just take a deep breath and maybe don't even get on a ton of homeschool groups. It's good to take advice, but take it with a grain of salt, especially if you don't know the people. Do it with prayer. Don't just, otherwise you're going to end up jumping from ship to ship. And I have been around long enough that I have seen the same thing cycle back around. I had somebody tell me, oh, if you use textbooks for your children, they're going to hate their education. You're going to ruin your child. That child is now in college and it's fine. And we use textbooks and that worked for our family. So be cautious of the noise and take everything with a grain of salt and just breathe and don't get swept away by trends and things too easily. So I hope that is helpful in how to get started homeschooling. And I have some other videos that go off on some of the other topics, and there'll be more coming on our Homeschool 101. But hopefully that gives you a place to start. Thanks for joining us today. Please leave a comment if you have something else you'd like me to talk about or you have any questions. Please hit the like button and subscribe to see more videos about what we do.